So over the last couple of weeks, we've been hearing the stories of Epiphany, the stories which point us to who Jesus is and how he transformed the lives of those he lived alongside, as well as those across many centuries and, of course, for us today. So 2 weeks ago, we remembered the wise men and the gifts that they presented. The symbolism of those gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh. And the gifts, of course, that are God-given to each of us to use in his name and his service. And then last week, we remembered the baptism of Christ and heard the words of revelation about Jesus. You are my son. And the affirmation for each one of us, you are my son or daughter. That reminder that each one of us belongs to God, is known and loved by him. So we have today's story coming from John. And as was said, it's the first miracle. It's a story of the water being turned into wine. You may or you may not know that John is the fourth gospel in the Bible. And in it, the writer calls Jesus' miracles signs. A sign that exists to point beyond itself to something else, just as the star did in the Epiphany story. The miracle stories in the Bible are pointers to the glory and power of God. And in John, their particular purpose is to lead us to believe in God and his Son Jesus Christ and his purposes for us. And again, we heard that the disciples were able to put their faith in him, having seen what had happened. So in this miracle, we've got an illustration of God's abundance. We don't know who the wedding was, but we presume that there was sort of relatives or friends of Jesus and Mary. Mary was there, had obviously noticed that the wine had run out. But we heard Jesus' irritation. Why are you saying that? My time hasn't come. A bit like, Mother, keep your nose out. And we may well all have experienced that. But he realised that something needed to happen. And so got containers, and we heard that they were the purification, there for the water of purification, Jewish ceremonies. You may well again have heard me and others say they were probably the size of a wheelie bin. So think of your wheelie bin, full of water, times 6, that's a heck of a lot of wine, and the best quality. We do, don't we? We'll get the good stuff out, and then if that keeps going, we might get something that we're not so bothered about. But here, it was the best wine that was being served. I think back to the wedding that we hosted last September. I think there was enough wine. There were plenty of bottles around. And it sort of makes you think, did they really need another 240 litres? It must have been a very good party going on there. But it is that illustration of abundance that we're hearing about from God. And Sheila read to us from Psalm 36, just 6 verses of that. And in it, we're hearing more of God's overflowing abundance in his world, as we hear about the love of God reaching to the heavens and the faithfulness to the clouds, the righteousness that stands in the strong mountains, and the justice like the great deep. We're hearing of man and beast, and all being satisfied with the abundance of what's in God's house and what he gives to each one of us. Those natural images and the assurance that God saves humans and animals alike can make us think of the abundant riches of creation. Yes, we know that so much is being destroyed as we see continuing pictures of the fires in Los Angeles, and we know of what's happening in the Antarctic, in the Arctic, and where melting is happening, and many, many other stories that we know where we're not particularly taking care of the world. But we also see around us the beauty of creation. Just as there was a steward in the story of the wedding at Cana, we need to think of humanity's role as stewards of the earth, that we all have a responsibility only to take what we need, to make sure that our consumption is sustainable and that there's enough for everybody. Many of us are aware of the statistics that show just how our world's wealth is so disproportionately distributed, and how we need to be grateful for all that we have and to share what we have. And I've found the global wealth pyramid, which, a tiny percentage at the top that has the greatest amount of money, and the pyramid works down so that the largest number of people who have very little, and that's the distribution across our world, is so disproportionate. I'm sure you may well have been doing something, perhaps had the radio on, and something suddenly caught your attention. And that happened to me the other day. I had Woman's Hour on, and this woman who, I didn't actually catch her name, and I've not gone back to sort of hear what it was, but it was someone who turned out to be a well-known author and a speaker. But she was talking about hygiene poverty, and was horrified to hear what she had had to grow up with, where talked about going to school where people would call her names because she smelt, because there was no soap or clean clothes at home, about the way that she had to cope with when it was her period, often not being able to go to school because of the embarrassment of that. And it just made me stop and think. I haven't experienced that at all. I'm aware that some of you may, or may have known someone who did. This woman, I would suspect, was probably in her 40s, 50s, so it was a few decades ago that she was talking about. But we know that this is something that's still very much an issue for families. And we are all comfortably well off. I know what that means will vary for many of us, but we're not in abject poverty. And we're loved by a God who's abundant in his generosity. And so we need to be thinking about what we can do. For those who are not far from us, I think so often we can think we're sitting in Wendover, and where things are on the whole, and again, I don't generalise to say everybody's well off, but things are pretty good for us. What can we do? What can we do that will point to the God who cares so much about us, who gives us so much, as illustrated in this miracle? Well, many of you give to the food bank, and it's great. Every week there's food there to be taken off to Cheshire, to the families who need it. We've collected for Christian Aid over many occasions. And a quick plug, next Saturday it's the soup lunch over at the Manor House at Western Turville. David can tell you about that. Another opportunity to go and enjoy something, but also to be able to give. Our Christmas collections will go to Salvation Army and to Lindengate. If you don't know about Lindengate, it's the horticultural mental health charity that runs out of the end of Dobby's car park, and has been going for 11 11 years, and I know has supported many people. People here volunteer there. So the money that we took at Christmas will go to Salvation Army, as I say, for people who we don't know but who need shelter, and those at Lindengate who need support in their mental health challenges. But it feels that giving is sometimes just too easy. We just need to put a card on the machine or put some money in an envelope. It doesn't take an awful lot from us. We need to find ways to share and to show God's generosity that has an impact on us. Our daughter and son-in-law go to a church in Manchester. It's Phillips Chapel Street. And we did give money to that church last year in our global giving. But they make up bags of hope. They ask for donations of many different hygiene-related products. They bag them up and they distribute them to families in need. On their website it says that Bags of Hope is a simple idea to bless Manchester, Salford and beyond, to bring hope in unexpected places and helping to make a practical difference in someone's lives. It says you, people who are giving, and those you know can bring hope to people experiencing brokenness or poverty. And they work with asylum seekers, they work with the homeless, they work with deprived local communities, but they particularly work with women who are sex workers and helping them to have places of safety, places to be able to move out from that sex work that they're caught up in. And they gather items, they're put in a bag, an opportunity to write a message to the person who might be receiving, to share that hope. And so I wonder, could we do something similar? Perhaps reach out into our local communities and our locality to find where they might be grateful for such bags. It's a chance for us to share something practical with people who really need. So look out when the update comes on Friday, and I put there a list of the projects that we'll be needing. I'll also put a list up here in church for those who aren't able to receive the update. But it feels like another way that we can do something, that our acts of kindness, we've talked about acts of kindness when it's Lent, and frequently a thing we talk about with the children at school, the simple things that we can do that are not there to make us feel better, but to be signs of God's generous, abundant love, signs that point beyond themselves to the one who is ultimately generous, the one, Jesus Christ, who turned the water into wine, who wants to share his love and joy with all. We can be those people who share that hope and that love. Having known it for ourselves, we can share it with those who have far less. So please do look out and see how we can be supporting people in our area. Just for the last few moments, I'm going to be showing a few slides that has a verse from Psalm 36 on them. They shall be satisfied with the abundance of your house. They shall drink from the river of your delights. And so let's just spend a moment or two in the silence as we watch these pictures of abundance, remembering what we have and what we can share. as I open up my copy of the update on my phone, a reminder that if you do not receive our email update and are able to do so, by their door there are some cards that say hello. It's got our church logo on. If you fill one of those in and give it to myself or Nadine or Pete, who's at the back, then your name gets added to the list, and at 5 o'clock every Friday, if I remember to press the right button, magic, the email update appears. And it contains lots of what is happening and going on around our church. So please do that so that you do know what's happening. This week, this afternoon at 3 o'clock, we've got our Connect, Create and Celebrate service. So that is all ages coming together to meet other people, make things, and then celebrate. And today's theme is Epiphany and going on a star hunt. Not we're going on a bear hunt, we're going on a star hunt. So come along to that. Tomorrow morning, Sparklers, which is our weekly toddler group. Wednesday, if you're on PCC, a reminder, it's PCC. We're here for that. And then Thursday morning, every Thursday morning, we have a said communion service. Quiet for about 30, 40 minutes, always followed by tea and coffee. And I think there were 27 of us on Thursday, so it's a service that just keeps growing. No, it's there, and if it fits for you during your week, then come along to that. On the 9th of February, so 3 Sundays' time, we're having a joint service, and we're doing that because we've got Bishop David Jennings, who's a retired bishop, coming to confirm Sasha, and I'm going to do a big point here. Sasha's sitting here between Leonie and Catherine, and Sasha's going to be confirmed. And then some of you may know Carol Elligot, who is one of our 9 o'clock congregation. Those two are being confirmed. So please come, please support them, please be praying for them, and come to celebrate with them. So that's happening on the 9th of February. Tomorrow night, a new home group is starting. David's hosting it. David, you just want to wave a hand? There he is. It's being led by David and Tim Crapper, and they're going to be looking at a book that Rowan Williams wrote called Tokens of Justice, sort of an introduction to Christian belief. So if you're interested in that, 7:30, and then it's going to be fortnightly. Speak to David now and join in that. There are other groups that also happen at various points during the week. And then another thing that, I already mentioned during the sermon, but Christian Aid soup lunch. So there's the Manor House in Weston Turville. It's sort of up near the church. Big, very beautiful house. And the people who own that allow sort of Christian Aid group to host a soup lunch, and certainly the times we've been, it's pretty amazing soup. Chance to meet up with people, see a rather nice house, and give to Christian Aid. So again, do you need to know how many people are coming, David? Okay, so on the update is David's email and his mobile number to let him know that. Was talking about us giving things and mentioned the food bank. And each week on the update there is a list of the things that the Chiltern Food Bank particularly are needing during any particular month. So if you're able to look at that, and there's a plastic box by the foot door where items are put in, and then Susan and Meg and Ian take it so it goes to the food bank itself. So please always, as you're shopping, putting something in for that. So, and then the other thing, just to blow my own trumpet, so 2 weeks yesterday I am being installed as an honorary canon of Christ Church Cathedral in Oxford. So I have my badges to sew on. I keep saying to people, we've got 2 little grandsons, so we know about Hey Dougie and all of Dougie's badges. So if here's Paul's reckons Canon Dougie badges for Granny. So that. But if anybody would like to come and support me at that, you are very welcome to do so. If you could let me know by next weekend, because I need to tell the cathedral how many people might be coming. So, but I know it's a long way. Appreciate it if people want to come. If not, please be praying for that occasion, and then when I discover what it's all about, which is, I'm not very sure. Okay, I think that is everything. Nadine, is there anything else to say? So, I don't think so. I think we've... yeah, she's having fun round there, so...